Incredibles 3, not a lot of people asked for. Despicable Me 3, not a lot of people asked for. The Nutjob 2, who asked for this? The first Nutjob movie was just a bad run. It wasn't awful, it's just your basic run-of-the-mill movie, but that somehow needed a sequel? Did people seriously want a sequel to The Nutjob? Well, okay, the sequel exists now. How does it stack up compared to the first film? Let's find out and see if it's anything good. Taking place a few years after the events of the first film, Surly and his friends discovered that the mayor of Oakton City is cracking one big hustle to build a giant amusement park, which in turn will bulldoze their home. The animals must stop the mayor, his daughter, and a mad animal control officer in order to take back the city park. Did that plot bore you? Well, that's exactly what this movie's like. The story is so boring. We've seen this kind of story done before. It's your typical save the environment story that we've seen so many times, and it wasn't even good when it was first began. We should stop doing this kind of story. It's not interesting, it's not entertaining. Yes, we want to save the environment, but it's not entertaining enough. Though to be fair, I'd rather watch this than The Greenhouse. And to add to that, just like other movies, the story doesn't take any twists and turns. It's pathetically generic and we've seen it before. But aside from that, I'm gonna be completely honest, I actually was entertained while watching this movie. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not a good movie by any means, but I certainly thought it was a lot better than the first film. The writing has improved a lot in this movie. There were so many times in this movie where I was laughing, whether it was a small giggle to me actually laughing out loud. This movie has a better sense of writing than the first film, where there was barely anything funny in it. I think some of my favorite comedic moments in this movie would have to belong to the mayor's daughter. At one point she kidnaps the dog named Precious, and she witnesses her playing with these toys in the most psychotic way possible, and then the dog says, well, one day they're gonna say these to the warning signs. And speaking of Precious, she has this romantic subplot with a dog named Frankie, and I'll be honest, I actually like this subplot. Of course, the humor in this subplot isn't really that great because it mostly consists of gross out jokes, but I actually think it's pretty heartwarming because Frankie is constantly being abused by his owner, and Precious is in that position of giving him some happiness. I actually really like this subplot, and I think it was really good. Also, Surly, the protagonist, is a lot more tolerable in this movie. In the first film, he was a constant asshole all throughout and didn't give a shit about anyone else. But in this movie, he has a very soft side to him now, as he's actually caring about the other people around him. Sure, there are moments where he does act like a dick, but they do actually explore these aspects in the movie. There's one particular scene I actually really like in this movie, and it's when Surly is constantly acting reckless and it causes one of the other animals to get hurt. He takes it out on himself and he feels really bad for hurting the poor innocent animal. This is a lot better than the asshole that we've seen in the first movie. So surprisingly, there are some positives I have with this movie, but is it good? Not really. Aside from the story, which as I just mentioned was really generic, there are certain other aspects that I don't like. As I said, the villain in this movie, the mayor, is pathetically bland, there's nothing interesting about him, and in terms of assholes who want to ruin the environment, these are some of the most unlikable assholes I've ever seen who want to ruin the environment. On top of that, I never really understood the whole point of that whole Jackie Chan mouse gang. True, there is one scene with them that I do legitimately like, but aside from that, what is their purpose in this movie? I don't really get the joke behind these guys, and it's not particularly funny, and as I said before, some of the humor can really be hit and miss. Yes, there were a lot of moments in this movie where I was laughing, but I wouldn't say it's the best comedy in an animated movie. Plus, we still have to deal with some annoying characters here and there, but they are far from the annoying characters that we've had to put up with in the first movie. The problems are there, anyone can notice it, but there are some moments in this movie which I did like. I thought the writing was a lot better, I thought the animation was a lot better, I thought the characters were a lot better, I just thought it was a much better movie. If you're fearful, don't be. It's nothing compared to the first film. It's not as dickish, it's not as sour as the first movie, it's actually pretty light-hearted, and it's actually pretty funny. I know some people don't like this movie, and that's understandable, but if you're curious, maybe give it one watch. It may not be something memorable, but maybe you'll be in for a better experience compared to the first movie.